Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So as usual today, let's finish off the week, see what happened, see how the week closed off essentially, and what we can expect for next week. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. Let's just jump right into it. So Tesla up today 4.56%, putting us at $737.50. So as I said yesterday, Tesla looks fantastic, looks extremely bullish, and here we have a solid 4.5% day. If I do say so myself, that's not bad. Now, I honestly don't think it's over yet. I actually, the candle still looks bullish to me. Like I said, we had a beautiful retest. We had a beautiful buying pressure candle today, and then pretty much at the very peak of the day almost, not quite at the very peak, but pretty damn close, which is a pretty good sign that the buyers were essentially in full control and the bears were pretty much non-existent for the most part of the day, which is very, very good. Exactly what you want to see. The RSI is pointing straight up, making higher highs, which is bullish. So ultimately, I actually personally still think that we're going to potentially head a little bit higher. I really think that we're going to potentially visit like maybe even 780, potentially. But I will admit, and I will say that I have exited most of my positions. I'm keeping one position just kind of as a runner, mainly because the chances of it going back and putting me pretty much in a situation where I'm losing money on that position is like, Tesla would have to literally absolutely plummet like a 15% day. So, but I have exited the majority of my positions. And the reason for that is because, even though I'm still pretty confident it's going to run, which is why I left the runner, we did get a double rejection here. You can see right here, right? We had a double rejection. I pretty much sold right around here. So we had a rejection over here on the 22nd of June, pretty much around 740, and we had a very similar rejection sitting around the exact same level around 740, right, just shy of 740. So because we had a double rejection, I personally, and the only reason I did this is because, again, I'm trying to be, and I've learned from my mistakes in the past, I'm trying to be as risk adverse as possible, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm not getting too greedy. I'd rather lock in profits, but profits for sure, but like less profits than potentially getting greedy, hoping that it can run even more, risking it even more, and then potentially the market going sideways or rather going down, and me going from having profits to potentially now maybe even losing money, right? I'd much rather have less profits than the risk of potentially going back under and actually being in the negative. That's what I've learned. Those are my lessons, not financial advice, but that's just personally what I have learned throughout this market, especially in a bear market that we're still very much in. But nonetheless, let's talk about it. So Tesla, beautiful day though, regardless. Like, even though I've closed the majority of my positions, I mean, I'm not going to start giving you bearish takes until I think it's actually bearish. And for as of right now, I legitimately don't think Tesla looks bearish. It's just not something I'm personally willing to take a chance, because here, in my opinion, the upside potential from here is another like 5% roughly, which is actually good. That's still like an insane amount, but I'm not willing to take that risk. So now let's go over everything, right? Tesla now above the 21 EMA, which is fantastic, exactly what you want to see. It's pretty much above every meaningful short-term moving average we want to see. 5-day moving average, well above that. Taking a quick look at the 10-day moving average, we're going to be most likely well above, not even close, well above that as well. The Bollinger Band sitting beautifully, nice support once again on the white line. Beautiful pressure today, right above the white line as well. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if we pretty much touch 780, which will be pretty much the top of this channel of this bear flag. Keep in mind, it is a bear flag. And also the top of the green line of the Bollinger Band, which will probably get us rejected back down to the white line, which will at that point probably be around between 720 to 730 is my guess. And then from there, we'll of course see what happens. But if we start losing these kind of things, once we get rejected from here potentially, and then come back down to this white line again, maybe like in a couple weeks or something like that, that's where I would start getting a little bit careful. But it is what it is. Manage your own risk, manage your own things. I'm personally perfectly happy with the profits I have gotten from here. Also yesterday, when Tesla was at 685, or when it dropped to 685, I did pick up 49 shares on my second account, with the average of about 694 share. 694 was the average of the total shares, because I bought at like 700, then I bought a bit at 690 something, then I bought the majority of it at like 687 or something like that, which gave me an average of 695, and I sold it today at around 630 or 730. So I'm happy to take those profits as well. Like, I'm not complaining, but ultimately, guys, I'm still pretty confident that Tesla still has more room to run. I'm still pretty confident that it's not done just yet. I always say how Fridays and Mondays tend to rhyme. So if that's any indicator, there's a decent chance, in my opinion, that Monday is going to be a nice green day, potentially even the green day all the way up to this level. Again, very possible, but again, manage your risks, guys. This market can turn really fast, really badly. When people get too euphoric, that's when you want to be careful. When people get too bearish down here, remember this part down here, when people get too bearish, that's when you want to start looking potentially to go a little bit bullish for a swing, which is exactly what I did. So far, it has worked out tremendously, and I'm very happy about that. Now, if we get any red days tomorrow or next week, like a Monday or Tuesday or something like that, depending on how it looks, of course, I'm looking to sell weekly puts to potentially ride it up one more time up to this level if we get that before we actually ride up to this level. So that's what I'm going to be looking for personally. But ultimately, guys, Tesla's looking bullish. Tesla's looking fantastic. It looks like it wants to keep going. Let's take a quick look at the weekly candle, of course, as well, because, the week has, of course, finished. And yeah, the nice, beautiful green candle, like just absolute gorgeousness on this candle, not showing any selling pressure almost this week at all, which is fantastic. But again, it is a bear market rally week. It kind of tends to be what it is, especially after we had this much selling pressure to, for pretty much every single week prior to, almost, except for this one candle here. So it's not unheard of to get these kind of rallies, of course, right? Just keep in mind, guys, just again, unless we pretty much break well above 800, like well above 800. If we can break above 800 and maintain above 800, then maybe we can start talking about how this is, a reversal. Ultimately, maybe we have actually bottomed out potentially for the market. Again, I don't think that's likely, but it is technically a possibility. Definitely don't want to rule that out entirely either. So we'll see what happens with that. Keep in mind the volume is a little bit lower today, 27 million. You can see definitely a little bit on the lower end. So, that is something to consider. Too many people view this as a really, really bad thing because, you're running on low volume. It's not as, there's not enough support to justify this run because the volume is so low. I don't put as much weight on it personally. That just means that there was a lot less sellers present and just simply only maybe buyers present, right? There could be a lot of reasons to explain that. I mean, it's definitely worse having lower volume than it was if we had this kind of candle on even higher volume, like maybe even like 40 million or something like that. That obviously would be better, but I don't think this is like as bad as a lot of people make it out to be either. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Again, the RSI is still looking wonderful. Taking a look at the 1 hour very quickly. So essentially what you want to see if you're a bull and you still want to see the run up is you absolutely want to see essentially a break above 740. The second Tesla can break above 740 and maintain above 740, which is the previous high we had here. I think that's like fantastic news. Like you definitely want to be seeing that. However, again, I do want to make it as clear as possible. There is a slight bearish divergence setting up. As you can see, when Tesla ran all the way up to this level right here, which was around 730, the RSI in the 1 hour was sitting at around 70, almost 71. Then we ran up even higher to 740, and the RSI only went up to 67. And now we went up pretty much to the exact same level, essentially, but well above this level again, and it made an even lower high. So this is kind of getting lower and lower and lower. So keep that in mind. Even though the stock is technically heading higher, or even the same levels as here, it's ultimately still setting up lower highs. So that right there is a bearish divergence starting to form. Nothing to worry about just yet. Just because a bearish divergence is forming doesn't mean that we're going to plummet. Again, it's a leading indicator, which usually means it takes time. It's just giving you kind of like hints, if you will. Like when you watch a horror movie or something like that, or even not necessarily a horror movie, but you watch one of those kind of movies that kind of make you really think and nothing makes sense until the end, but there's some clues hidden throughout the movie that, once it all adds up, it kind of makes sense. Think of the RSI bullish or bearish divergences being similar to that, where it's just giving you clues, hints, ideas, thoughts, things like that. But it's not like the ultimate like be all and end all thing. Just because you see it right away, doesn't mean it's just tomorrow we're going to plummet or whatever. It just means that be cautious that there is a bearish divergence setting up. That does mean that ultimately the stock is looking to potentially top maybe relatively soon. Again, it could be easily within the early parts of next week. So just keep that in mind, guys. That is something to keep in mind. Very, very important in my honest opinion. So another example here is you can see the RSI on the slightly smaller time frame, 15 minute, went all the way up to 84 pretty much when we were sitting around this level of 730. Then as you kept going higher and higher and pretty much making the same high as 3 times in a row, it got lower. Then it got higher here, which is great, but then it got lower again. So it's like, you got to be a little bit careful here. You don't want to get too excited, too over ecstatic. You want to, trade with caution, if you will, which is really important. But then on a slightly longer time frame, it's looking a little bit better. So this is why I'm not putting too much weight on it just yet, because there's still too many mixed signals to really give me a good idea as to whether or not the bullish or bearish rather divergence is truly set up and ready to kind of, I guess tell us that we've more or less peaked or very close to it. Not enough obvious indicators just yet, in my honest opinion, but I'll keep you guys updated as it forms, and especially as we run. Because if we start running and then the RSI doesn't go too much higher, especially on the smaller time frames, like the 1 hour, for instance, especially if we run up to like 780 and somehow we don't go higher than like 71 on the RSI, that would be a pretty bad sign. So you definitely want to see higher than that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have right now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think down below. Not a whole lot more to talk about, of course. One thing I do want to take a very quick look at actually is going to be the MACD, which is right here, this beautiful thing right here. So you can see beautiful, MACD over here. It's looking nice. It's flipped bullish ultimately, which is great. Making higher highs. So yeah, there's a lot of things suggesting, in my opinion, that not financial advice, of course, make your own decisions, that Tesla still has a bit more room to the upside. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see potentially maybe 5% more to the upside. I would be surprised if it's much more than 5%, maybe 6%, but I'd be surprised if it's much more than that. But yeah, based on your current risk tolerance, whatever you want to do, obviously, take that as you will. But hopefully you guys have made some money based on these moves that I have predicted previous to, which is, great. Taking a look at the weekly as well very quickly, you can see the weekly is starting to look a little bit better. It's still ultimately bearish, still ultimately looking like, the trend is still very much down. However, making a slightly higher lows here, which is not too bad. But the blue line is still hardly looking to it's still not looking like it really wants to curl over and flip bullish just yet. So again, ultimately, the trend, in my opinion, is still very much down. But of course, like I said before, regardless of what kind of rally we get here, being a bear market rally, don't get too overzealous or overconfident or too cocky or whatever. Just take it as it is, trade it level by level, and ultimately understand that even if we rally all the way up to like high 700s, maybe even touch 800, unless something significant happens, it's still going to be an ultimate downtrend that we are in. So keep that in mind, guys. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it useful, informative, if it helped you at all this week, especially, don't forget to hit that like button. It does help a lot. But all that being said and done, I'll see you guys for the updates on Monday next week. So until then, thanks for watching. Peace.